I love baseball cards. Got 'em, need 'em, got 'em, need 'em, need 'em, need 'em, got 'em, got 'em, need 'em.
Welcome to another episode of Flea Market and Antique Mall Pickups. This video has some trading cards, but they are non-sport, so I'll just step out there and say that before we get too far into this. So if non-sport stuff doesn't interest you, so maybe stay tuned and we'll show you some things that do interest you that are baseball related. The first thing I want to point out is this is proof that sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, you find something at a flea market, garage sale, antique mall, whatever, and you don't really inspect it and you just buy it on impulse, and sometimes you get burned. I probably would not have bought this if I didn't think what I thought it was, and I'll share that with you right now. And what I thought I bought was, if you guys remember the Elvis Presley cards from the early 90s, and if you look right there, Elvis Series 1 complete. Well, that sounds great, except after further inspection, I opened it up, I just took a glance in there, and I, checked a random card here or there just to see that they were there. And after I did research, Series 1 is actually cards 1 through 220. And I'm just going to lay this down here. And as you can see, the first card is card 2. Or, well, there's card 1 there. 1, 2, 4. So obviously it's not complete. 5 to 12. 13. They're just out of order. They're not all here. And at first I thought, well, maybe they're just mixed up. But this box is, a relatively small box. 200 count box, 100 count box, whatever. And if you look in the back here, card 657, 559, 553, 480, 338, on down the list. So I go back to, I only paid $4 for the whole box, but I was under the impression that was the whole set. If I would have known these were just singles, I probably would have passed and left them there. These aren't that valuable. I mean, you can get the whole set for 15 bucks. That's the 1 to 220. Might cost you a little bit more to ship them, but these aren't really what I'm into collecting. I mean, there's people that collect numerous things that are out there. If anybody is interested in these, maybe we could work something out, but I mean, they're just singles of Elvis, from various points of his life. Not really anything I'm too interested in, but there are tons of Elvis collectors out there, so if Elvis is your thing, and there's Graceland Graceland tour, I might just wind up giving these away to somebody like my uncle or something that really likes Elvis. I just was a little disappointed because I thought it was a complete set. But it just goes to prove that even seasoned people like myself that are veterans in this hobby, sometimes we just get a little overexcited and over anxious, and we purchase things that don't necessarily need to be purchased. I don't feel bad about the purchase. It's just I thought I was getting a complete set. Again, I don't want to whine and complain too much here, but if I would have known it was an incomplete set and just some random base cards, I would have definitely passed. Now, in that same booth, they had a Hollywood Squares Walk of Fame, or Hollywood Walk of Fame box of cards, and they were labeled 10 for $1. So I bought a couple dollars worth, and what I did is I went through and I tried to find some people that I know that are still living. Betty White, Barbara Eden, Henry Winkler, John Travolta, Jamie Farr, James Caan. There was only one James Caan there. I try to get multiples, obviously, here. But, you know, these were pretty cool. You know, I thought for a dime a card, might have a little fun. You know, write some of these celebrities and see if I can have some successes with them and get a few of them signed. So I'm not, you know, I didn't get hurt by paying a dime a piece on those. You know, look for those in future Through the Mail Thursday videos. You know, once I get around to getting those sent out to each celebrity, it might take, you know, anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple months to a year or two to get those back, just depending on how busy of a schedule these individuals have. John Travolta, I've seen signs through the mail, but that's, you know, does he really sign, or is that a secretary thing, you know, secretarial signature? I don't know if Barbara still signs. I know she used to, but maybe she's, you know, not doing that anymore. I don't know. So that's not, these two items are kind of slow and boring. I get that. And the real reason, the real find, I guess, of this flea market video is what I'm about to share with you next. And these are identical. They're actually placed in the same order, you know, on the holder here. And these are collectible pins from the 90s. And I'm going to take one off camera and just, you know, let you look at that one while I talk about this one. You don't need to see both of them because they're identical. But the reason I know they're from the 90s is because the Rockies and the Marlins are on there. So obviously that's putting a date time stamp on them. They don't, you know, necessarily have a mark on them, you know, like copyright date or anything like that. I pulled them out of here and took a look at them real quick. But this also tells me that they were before the Diamondbacks and the Devil Rays, so prior to 1998-99. So that tells me that this puts them in a range of 1991. You know, maybe they made them before the Rockies and the Marlins actually played, 92 to about 1998. So you can see the price tag on there, $20. I came across a vendor. This was an outdoor flea market, one of those storage locker facility flea markets where basically on the weekends they swing open their storage locker and they sell their stuff. Well, I came to this dealer and it was a booth that I've been to before, or a locker that I've been to before, and we're talking over the years. And I walked in and I didn't see a familiar face. Normally it was an older gentleman that, you know, was behind a makeshift counter that he put together, you know, and basically had a cash register and, you know, made this a store more or less, and this was his weekend hobby. So I said, oh, you know, where's the elderly gentleman that's, you know, normally here? And the person that was there informed me that that was her late brother, and he had just recently passed away in November. So I told her I was sorry for bringing that up. I was, you know, being a little too nosy, I guess, there. And she told me that despite what the price is, everything in the storage locker would be half off. So, you know, going back to the sticker, $20. This was half price, so at $10. So, being the thrifty consumer that I am, I asked her, if I buy them both from you, would you sell them both to me for $10? And she said, yeah, we can do that. You know, we're just looking to get this stuff out of our locker. You know, this is a inheritance that I really didn't want, and whatever money we make, you know, is just, you know, I'm just happy to get this into somebody's collection that wants them. So I paid $10 for the pair. Originally he was asking 20 a piece on them, and I got them down to 5 a piece. I bought a couple other things from this vendor. They had a lot of DVDs, video games, you know, those type of items. Not a whole lot of sports stuff. No sports cards that were really worth messing with. I mean, they had a random box of racing cards that were $10, and I didn't even want to pay $5 for them. I mean, they weren't anything that I thought I could use. So I left those. You know, there was some random stuff here or there, some old starting lineups that were really beat to heck, and you know, the guy had $10, $20 price tags on them, and even at, you know, half price, they still weren't worth what they're asking for them. And you know, this is probably every collector. I want to try to relate to you guys that are out there in the collecting world. This is probably every collector's worst nightmare, is we only can collect so many earthly possessions. You know, the good book tells us that. You know, the book tells us you can't take your earthly possessions with you when you move on to the afterlife. And I'm not trying to get all, you know, religious here, but it puts a perspective on your collection sometimes when you're sitting around in your, you know, man cave or your collection room, and you're kind of looking around at all this. And if you don't have somebody such as a daughter or son, or you know, nephew, niece, you know, somebody younger than you, you know, not somebody your age, not your wife, not your spouse, not your, you know, your brother, your sister, but somebody that, you know, in theory should be on this earth a lot longer than you are. You know, tragically that isn't always the case, which, you know, is unfortunate, but it makes you think that if I was to pass away tomorrow, you know, hopefully I don't, that who would be burdened with my collection? And right now, that kind of scares me, because the setup that I have, I sometimes buy stuff I don't even know I have. And to expect that person to, you know, whoever takes my collection from me, whether that's children, whether that's, you know, other, you know, nieces, nephews, you know, hopefully great grandchildren, you know, I hope I live that long. You know, one, are they going to have the passion and the, you know, the thoughts that I have? And two, you know, are they going to get taken advantage of by people, you know, that know the hobby better than them, and they rip them off more or less? So those are kind of the thoughts that I sit around the house thinking about. And you know, I don't know what these are worth. You know, I am not a collector of this type of item, so I hope I didn't rip these people off. I just made an offer, you know, like any other person would at a flea market, saying, hey, if you bundle the pair, will you knock up, you know, $5 off or whatever? And you know, they agreed. So you know, I might go back and give them some more money and pay a little bit more for something that's worth, you know, not as much. So you know, I might get back there 6 months from now, the locker may be empty and completely, you know, you know, gone, and somebody else, you know, got there. So, you know, I'm just not trying to talk and ramble here, but it makes you really look at your collection in a different light sometimes when you get a little bit older and say, man, this is a lifelong thing that I've been doing, and, you know, who's going to be the one to take over for me? So, I thank you for, you know, checking out another video of Flea Market Antique Mall finds. I hope you enjoy these. If anybody out there knows anything about these, you know, feel free to chime in. You know, I certainly feel that at $5 a pair, I didn't get hurt at all. So look forward to your comments below, and thanks for watching.